I just remember him shutting off the screen. Like, my eyes were already filled with water, and I turned to look at my husband, and he just said he was so sorry. And he walked out the room and said, take all the time you need. And I just started bawling. I screamed so loud, I feel, that everybody heard me in that office. I can say the only thing that I remember feeling in that moment is just wanting to disappear completely, because I just didn't know how, like, I was going to handle this type of pain. Because when you get news like that, you just, I think everyone processes it differently, but I just remember wanting to disappear, and I was looking at my husband, and he was just in tears, and I was just so upset. And I wasn't angry, I just remember feeling so sad. And then we went and we had to speak to the genetic counselor, who we had to give like more information to. They kind of asked backgrounds on like our families and family tree type of thing, our family, if they have kids, and this and that. And mainly my side of the family has had kids. Hector's side, they're a lot smaller, so not too many of them have children, and one part of his family doesn't have kids, so he didn't really have too much to give. I didn't have too much to give either. I just do have, you know, like my family does have kids. And yeah, so it was hard. I just remember that whole day like feels black now to me. I feel as though in a coping way, I try to ignore the way that I feel, and I black it out, and then I put it in the back of my head. So you only have one of two options when having a pregnancy like this, and one option is to carry to term, or until your baby decides he or she is done being carried, or you terminate the pregnancy. And they kind of just, it's like that. There's no, even when telling you that you can carry to term, they give you no hope, which is really sad. And parts of me now get angry about it, because I know that they're doctors, and I know that they have to be pretty black and white, I feel. But I feel like they should be empathetic in scenarios like that. Whether it's your first baby, or it's your third baby, it's your fourth baby, whether you've lost all these babies and this is the first baby you're finally able to carry to term, or carry as far as you have, and then you find out this news and they give it to you almost as if they're reading off the freaking specials on a menu. Like, that's how it felt. I just couldn't believe that it was just so vague. Like, okay, you can either carry till your baby decides to, or you terminate. And it's like, is there any empathy in that? The only person I felt that was like really nice and she helped was the genetic counselor, but everybody else was so cold. The doctor, the girls in the office, and you know, luckily my actual OB, he was very empathetic, and he was like, look, your baby has a strong heartbeat. I can't tell you what to do. You know, if you want to carry to term, I'm here for you. If you want to carry till the baby decides it wants to be carried, I'm here for you. If you terminate, I also understand. So for him, it wasn't like he gave me that, like, it didn't feel that way from him, but from the doctor who told me the news, it was just like, this is what it is, and this is what you have to decide on. So it was really hard, you know. You have a lot going through your mind. You have a lot to talk about with your spouse. And then you think back to a lot of different scenarios in your lifetime, in your life, and from whatever you have experienced. It's a lot. And to find out, so what I felt was late, you know, I was 19 weeks. I was going on 20 weeks. And yeah, so I decided to continue to carry my pregnancy. And every 2 weeks we had to go to the doctors to see if anything had changed. It only got worse. He was basically growing like what he's supposed to grow in 7 days. Like 1 week was 1 day for him. So he was barely growing at that point. Heartbeat was still strong though. Heartbeat was still in the normal ranges of what it should be. So it was really hard. But on March 17th, my little baby went up to heaven, and that was a really hard day, obviously. But I feel like a part of me is glad he never had to suffer or feel pain, and that I did, because you never want your kids to feel that. I never understood when my parents would tell me that until I was pregnant, and I was like, selfishly, if he does make it through this and he makes it, you know, into a month of life, how much pain is he gonna be in just for me to have my baby? But yeah, I'm lucky that Hector was actually able to be there with me through at the hospital, because this was right before COVID got crazy, because it was March 17th, and then literally like 2 weeks later is when the whole world shifted, and now, you know, you kind of had to be alone for those types of things, or give birth alone, anything like that. And I just feel like that would be hard. I would need my person there with me. And then I got some time off work, and I actually didn't even want to go back to work when I finally did go back to work. I didn't take too much time, but I'm glad I did, because I think I would have fallen into a really deep depression, because at that point I was like, I lost my baby, my best friend is gone, and I just felt so hopeless. I have really good friends that were reaching out to me and all that stuff, but it was just like, there was a lot. It was a lot, I feel, for a person to handle in 6 to 7 months, you know, of life. And life, I know, only can get harder, and I know people go through a lot worse, or can, but I feel like I went through it, you know. And July is actually his due date month. His due date was July 15th. So the days are slowly creeping closer and closer to that date. When July 1st hit, I was a mess that whole day. I literally had to keep leaving work at certain times to cry, because I just couldn't hold it together. And it wasn't even the actual due date. But maybe I cried so much because maybe he was gonna, you know, had he been a healthy baby boy, he was gonna be in my arms on July 1st. I don't know. But I also don't know how I'm gonna feel on July 15th. I'm like mentally preparing myself, and I feel like you can mentally prepare yourself, but you just don't know how you're gonna feel until that day. I can put it in the back of my head, and it's like, I don't know, like a month after losing him, when it was the 1 month of him being gone, I hadn't even been paying attention to the days at that point. But on, you know, April 17th, I was a whole mess. I was crying so much. I felt so depressed. I felt so sad. I had no idea why. And then I looked at the date and I'm like, I haven't been pregnant for a month. I haven't had my baby in me for a month. Like, I just, your mind knows, your conscious knows, your subconscious. So we'll see how I do on July 15th. But I mainly wanted to put this video out there because I remember when I was going through it that I looked up what this was, and it's really scary what you see online. And it is a really scary diagnosis to have for your baby, your unborn child. And if it's a baby you've been longing for, like I said, or it's your first baby, your third baby, I feel like the pain is still the same. That's your baby. And you want nothing for your baby other than them to be healthy. From the moment you find out you're pregnant, as weird as it sounds, most people do pray, like, I just want my baby to be healthy. And then to find out such news like that, it's heartbreaking. So I looked it up on YouTube too to see if I could find videos, anything like that. And I only found one, and it was really sad to watch because unfortunately her pregnancy ended as well, earlier on. And hers actually ended like in the first trimester, but I remember just watching the video and just all I could think was negative thoughts. And my doctor had told me, like, don't look anything up, you know, but the internet it's all out there. Okay. So, I just wanted to add another thing out there and for people to feel like they aren't alone. But I just wanted to get this out there because, like I said, I feel like I'm hearing about it a lot more, and it saddens me because I know the pain, but I want people to look this up and feel like they're not alone, because I felt alone. And it's still so rare. It's super rare. But yeah. And one thing I do know is that when I do become pregnant again, I did allow the doctors and all that stuff to do an autopsy on my baby, and they actually were able to autopsy my placenta. We weren't carriers for that extra chromosome, luckily, because that is another thing too. I could have been carrying an extra chromosome without knowing it, or he could have, and you know, this would be a scenario that repeated in the future for our future children. So luckily we got the news that that's not the case for us, and that, you know, we will be able to have other children. And when they tested my placenta, I also found out that I will be able to have healthy, viable pregnancies. My placenta was very good, very healthy, all that. So that was good to hear. After such bad news, it is nice to hear, like, okay, like, we can have other kids, and I can carry a full-term pregnancy. Because those are things that run through your mind too after losing a baby, finding out diagnosis like that. You're just like, is this going to continue? Can this happen to us again? So it was a nice way to find out that we aren't carriers, and that I can carry a healthy, viable pregnancy in the future. So yeah, and this could also, maybe not in my lifetime, maybe in another lifetime, they will be able to know how to save babies with that diagnosis, or maybe babies with not as, you know, cases as heavy as mine, maybe with just like one thing wrong instead of everything that was wrong. But yeah, so I hope that this gave you guys some insight on that, and I hope you guys come back to my channel to watch future videos. I promise they won't all be this topic, but I did want to get this out there, like I said, and I hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. Hopefully I will get this out by the end of the weekend, so I hope you guys have a good start of your week, and I will see you guys in my next video. And my little Bubba, he says bye too.